What's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Chris Featherstone here for yet another episode of UnSKripted. I am here with my other show, bro.
That was good.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hey, man, good friend of mine, awesome dude, the former 3-time world heavyweight champion. He is EC3. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well. I enjoy my occasional fill-in on the Tuesday. I hope Bill is alive. Hope he's still alive. You know,
Yes,
he's not here, but I hope he's living and breathing.
Yes.
But as we both live and breathe, I am your show bro, and I am here to fill his tiny shoes with some of my wit, my wisdom, my know-how. And I'll tell you what, super chats. This is a super chat show, right?
Yes, indeed.
Oh yeah, super chat, the dirty, whatever you want to know about the business, the deep dark secrets, and if you pay for it, Dr.
Yes,
Chris
indeed.
gets the hookup.
Yes,
So
indeed.
I'll answer it to the best of my knowledge.
Yep. All right. Well, EC3, we have had a really interesting few days. This is actually my
15th podcast.
This is my 4th Sportskeeda podcast in a row, ladies and gentlemen. This is my 4th night in a row doing a live show for Sportskeeda. And so 3 of those nights is with Vince, and night number 4 is with my friend EC3. So I've talked a lot about the WrestleMania, talked about live post reaction on Saturday, live post reaction on Sunday, and then Monday after Raw. But it ain't over yet. Why? Because The Rock appeared on the Pat McAfee show doing an interview, and I'm actually going to break that down. I'm going to do a psychological class on analysis on the breakdown of that on Pancakes and Power Slams following the show.
Oh, you got Pancakes and Power Slams. And but I don't mean to cut you off, but I was asked today, I was talking to a young lady, a lovely young gal, and she asked, what kind of doctor is Chris? And I said, a doctor of psychology. And she appreciates the way you break things down from a psychological level. So know you have fans.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Whoever you talk to today, Thank you, and I appreciate your support and everybody's support who watch my stuff. So that's wonderful. All right, so this is me asking you because
Okay.
everybody knows on here how I felt about over the past 3 days live. But how does EC3, a current NWA main event talent, booker for Exodus Pro Wrestling, three-time world champion, former WWE employee, all of that, someone who worked directly with Triple H.
Mhm.
What do you think about the backlash that came with the finish of the John? As someone who's also friends with John Cena, what do you think the backlash that came from that we saw no Rock? What say ye about all this, man?
I watch the shows, but as a creator, I kind of don't like to read too much about opinions based on it. So I didn't know there was a ton of backlash that The Rock
Mhm.
wasn't there. I assumed there'd be a ton of backlash because of the Travis Scott stuff.
Oh,
But
that too.
yeah,
It was that too, for
I
sure.
was going to ask you sort of what the general consensus is. So it seems like there was outrage over the finish.
Yep.
Is it because The Rock wasn't involved? Is it because of the Travis Scott thing? Or is it because of the story and the match itself? I guess would be my question, and then I'll tell you my
Yeah.
thoughts.
All of the above. I mean, a general consensus amongst a lot of the crowd, a lot of the fans were they were expecting The Rock.
Mhm.
They were absolutely kind of gutted in many ways, but deflated. I mean, the talk about pop the balloon. The balloon was popped when there was nothing that followed the Travis Scott appearance.
Mhm.
So a
Well,
lot of people.
there was a
So
new WWE champion, wasn't there?
that's true, but at the same time, people were expecting, of course, Travis Scott's music comes out. He comes out with this, you know, given championship, does this gimmick. Cena pulls him up. So people were thinking like, okay, like this is like the opening act to the final boss finale.
Right.
But it was like, okay, cool. Travis Scott's out, made sense. 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, Elimination Chamber, he came out too. Okay, let's finish the whole gimmick when it comes to the whole thing. Let's
Yeah.
put it all together and let's bring The Rock out. But The Rock mentioned on the McAfee show that he made he volunteered. He made the intentional decision
Yeah.
to not be a part of it. A lot of fans are saying, I call BS on that. And it was just he's not being involved. There's a lot of just chaos going on as far as the reactions from the fans over the
Well,
past
I think
few.
one thing you pointed out that is super imperative and important is there's a lot, meaning there's a lot of people talking. And I know maybe a majority may seem in the negative connotation, but at the same time, I mean, when it comes to this stuff, talking about it, having your attention, having your interactions feeds the algorithmic beast, man. But it
Mm.
feeds sort of the sole purpose of what we do. What I like to tell trainees and aspiring pros, like, what's the number one job for a professional wrestler? And then, there's 8 million answers and 70 of them are kind of right. But in my view, the most important thing for a professional wrestler is to get attention.
Mm.
So we're getting attention on it. I think you mentioned we're accustomed. I mean, what we had Cody and Roman 2 years ago, Cody and Roman last year.
Mhm.
A lot of like the escalating final boss battles, the arms race of dudes coming out and kind of one upping each other. And we didn't get that. But you said it, you know, this was the first act, or they expected this to be the first act in a long form, sort of tiered, progressive sort of story. But maybe this was just act one of that overall story, where sometimes you don't want to, I don't know, pardon my usage of parables, not like JC, but you don't want to blow your load right away, right? You
Mhm.
kind of want to build up to it. And perhaps that is the intention. I don't think The Rock would lie. Like, I could have been a part of it, but I didn't want to take attention. I mean, he's The Rock. He can do whatever the hell he wants. So if he wanted to be out there, he'd be out there. If they felt the story was best served without him yet, perhaps that's the case. I think I see the fans' apprehensions and anger, kind of the unanswered question. Pardon me, I have a frog in my throat.
No worries.
The fans' sort of anger were like, The Rock doing that deal and what he said to Coney, like selling the soul. Like, that was all good stuff, and it doesn't have a payoff yet. So I think with where the story could go, there's a lot more layers. There's a lot more tiers. You've got Cena for about, 6 more months, 7 more months. I think that was the right finish because, like, I'm intrigued to what's going to happen. I might even actually watch. So if you have my attention, that's pretty imperative. And I think whatever this becomes, it is only going to make everyone involved, Cody too, a bigger star because of it. And so one final point I'd have on that is we're so accustomed to the blood, like all the run-ins and all that stuff that the fans expected, that sometimes you gotta kind of retcon how far you go out there and bring it back so you can make it exciting again when you go back out there. I really liked the aspect of what was the most important thing about that match, the world's title, the WWE World's Championship, and that sort of being the kill shot that, like, Cody's, it's not hubris, but his sort of his do-gooding, like, wouldn't allow him to do, and that's what John did to become the GOAT. So I like that aspect of the story. One missed, like, all right, yeah, I'm not gonna. That Travis Scott sucks, man. It blows, dude. Seeing him in the ring, like, you had The Rock and Cena when he did the heel turn in the ring. I'm like, that's an epic picture. If they could just Photoshop Travis Scott out, and then you get the end scene, the greatest of all time, John Cena is the 17-time world champion, holding the title at the biggest show of all time. Like, what a monumentous sort of image. And then, there's Travis Scott in there too. It sucks. I get it. It does suck. It sucks on ice. It sucks buttholes. And if I can go one more round with that, I think there was a missed opportunity, and maybe I'm the one that's singing, well, I expected this. I don't expect anything. But I do think the fans that know would have benefited greatly and had some sort of justification if Cody slapped him in the face and got that quote receipt, because I think that was the ire of the fans originally, besides the fact they don't like Travis Scott. Don't blame you being involved in it, but that, like, kind of dirty, cheap shot slap he hit on him that busted his eye. And, like, even if it's not in the script or called, like, I think Cody had one time to deliver a receipt. And if the dude's coming out there to take a crossroads, just if he slapped him, I think that would have, like, kind of made a full circle and maybe a little bit more digestible for everybody that kind of personally felt hurt seeing that go unpunished. Like, hitting a wrestling move is cool, but that's, that's wrestling, and this was more. That would be my one. I don't have a complaint, but one thing, if I can go back and paint my own little masterpiece, even if Travis Scott didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Bust that face.
Yeah, I think it was I personally think it was a lot left to be desired with that whole climax, man. I mean, this is WrestleMania. This is the pinnacle. I mean, this should be the close of the chapter. This should be the close of the book. We should get round 2. We should get a sequel, basically. But WrestleMania should be the close of the book, man. It should be the bookend. And at the end of the day, say that again.
That was a good move.
Yeah. Booker T. Yeah, the Booker T's version of the rock bottom. Yeah, he actually bookended Goldberg and actually beat Goldberg in WCW with the bookend, man. So shout out to Booker T. Booker T's been making his waves around the internet over the past weekend as well, falling asleep at the Hall of Fame. And
It was
we'll talk.
long. It was like 3 in the morning.
Yes. We will talk about that in a minute. For those, there's a lot of comments on here. If you want to comment on screen, go ahead and hop on that super chat.
That interaction, maybe I can talk to you.
Yes, indeed. EC3 wants to talk to you.
Dr. Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're all accustomed to, WrestleMania has been around 41 years.
Yep.
95% of the time, it's sort of a big culmination to a story. I can think of in theory, Roman beating Cody was chapter 1 in a story that took a year to kind of get to act 3. But I'm guessing not having that sort of catharsis conclusion of a story that maybe we're getting act 1. Is there a movie parallel you can make? Because Star Wars A New Hope, right? You have a Death Star, you got some X-Wings, you got Darth Vader and his little weird TIE fighter. It's a pretty epic struggle, but you come back around and get Return of the Jedi. Now you got Admiral Akbar in there with that, wiener-shaped ship, and everything's blowing up. You got the moon on Endor, shooting out shield beams, 3 front wars going on. So I don't know, where do you see that match in kind of a parallel in that sense?
And what do I see? The Cody Cena in this whole saga?
Not Star Wars per se, or just some sort of it was big, but it wasn't what it's going to be. The Avengers Endgame, you're going to have everybody coming back and portals opening and, Captain America finally dropping the line. But before you had that, you kind of had the first Avengers movie where Loki brings in aliens from outer space and we got to nuke outer space, which we should always be thinking about nuking outer space. So, that's just kind of how I see it. I understand everybody thinking WrestleMania is a culmination, but sometimes things change.
Yeah, I think the problem with that, though, East, is that it's changed quite a... Is that pickle juice?
I wish. It's tea.
Oh, it's tea. What type of tea?
I have a ginger turmeric, and I also added some red wine, red iced Canadian wine tea from Canada.
Interesting. You and your mixtures, man, are really cool. You're like a king of conglomeration, man. There you go. That's the thing with Mania, though, man. It's supposed to be just the end all be all. It's supposed to be set up as the bookend. It's supposed to be set up as the pinnacle. And I think a lot of what we've seen lately over the past few years has not had that feel to it. Now, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens beating the Usos last year was a culmination because the Usos had the title for 2 years and they were a part of the bloodline. It was a consolation for Sami Zayn breaking away because he actually had a world championship match against Roman Reigns in the Elimination Chamber. But he did win the title with Kevin Owens. So that was a culmination. Last year, also with Cody Rhodes finishing his story, that was a culmination too, although it really wasn't because the bloodline continued. So it wasn't necessarily finishing the story. It was with them becoming champion. And I did like the lead up, the build in into WrestleMania last year. Vince and I put it over all the time. We have over many, many shows. I was a fan of that. But typically, though, there's a missing piece within WrestleMania that I've seen as far as the payoff doesn't really match the hype to build there. And this year, the problem I saw with WrestleMania is that there wasn't really a lot of build. It wasn't a story for us to latch onto. We're thinking of Hogan Andre. We're thinking of Andre Warrior. We're thinking of Hogan, Austin Rock. Both of us are wrestling historians when it comes to that. And you're the trivia king, the reigning trivia champion, by the way. But I think, when you're thinking of Austin Rock. You're thinking of Austin wins the championship. Angle's the champion at the time. Rock beats Angle in No Way Out. Now you got a Rock and Austin as the champion. Deborah gets involved as a factor within that. Limp Bizkit, My Way. The video package promo, the hype video for that. The best hype video I've ever seen was WrestleMania 17. It was absolutely amazing. The sit down interviews that both of them had, they both their baby faces going into that. It was just like a Superman meets Batman type of, the king of two worlds colliding, similar to Hogan and Warrior. Both were baby faces colliding to that big moment. And so there were so many, Hogan, Andre was jealous that Hogan gets a bigger reward. He gets the earworms of Bobby the Brain Heenan, and there's story behind really good WrestleMania culminations. But this year I didn't see it, man. And that's the sad part of what got me and my biggest critique. I didn't see the story. I didn't see the hype. It was, and Rock even mentioned it in the McAfee interview. Like, Area Emanuel called him right before Elimination Chamber because he wanted the ticket sales to bump up. I mean, you're calling audibles less than 2 months before the WrestleMania. It's just, I don't, as a creative guy, EC3, you can speak from a mind of creative now.
Yeah.
How in the world, say for instance, Billy Corgan, you've got this big culmination and Billy Corgan's like, hey man, ticket sales aren't well. I'm going to bring in, whomever, Ric Flair, NWA guy. I'm going to bring in Ric Flair. We're going to have to call an audible before the Starcade of the NWA, basically. How in the world in less than 2 months do you try to creatively make something as strong as if it would have been a 6-month build?
Great question. I think so. Is The Rock saying sort of the heel turn Cena thing was kind of like a rash decision?
Yeah, because Cody was supposed to be the guy. Cody was supposed to turn and Rock put the kibosh on it. He said not yet. And so Triple H came up with the idea of Cena turning, and Cena said yes. And then they, usually the meeting is, it's not even really a lot of people in the creative team. It's the tight knit, like mega group, mega creative is The Rock, Triple H, Nick Khan, Ari Emanuel. Like that's like the 4 horsemen of the WWE creative right now. And then everybody else kind of trickles down. And so basically they met together, Triple H, The Rock, Nick Khan, Ari Emanuel. They discussed this, John Cena as well. And so basically he came up with it. He agreed to it. And basically that led into WrestleMania. That's where the promo came from, oh, I hate you all and all that stuff. So that was an audible too.
Here's what, real quick, maybe just thinking off the top of my head is
now granted, John Cena's heel turn was something that was considered by John months ago, like several months ago, because that was something that he thought about it, as far as like, is it something that would be an interesting factor in my year. But at the same time, it was an audible when it came to win, and the win was Elimination Chamber because they needed to boost in ticket sales.
Yeah, and it's like, that's a huge thing. And when it happened, I mean, this place, everyone was blowing up. Man. Yeah. Like, so it worked. And it's sometimes, I don't know, if you're playing a sport or something and you got to get from, the conference finals to the championship game, and you pull off some crazy formation or play or something, and it works. It's like, okay, we're in it. So now what? I think you got a guy like Cena and a guy like Cody. I think how do you make it 6 months worth of build in 2 months? I thought they did really good stuff with like the promo barbs exchanging, but I don't think they should have just left it there and relied on just that because there's some really good stuff with those two when they were doing that. Even on like when they did the one on SmackDown before Mania, granted, everyone's already all in. It just felt like sort of a rehash compared to the other two where they were like the why. Right. So I think the most important thing to think about to maybe give that a bigger feel is the why. And I think I would have had, and what do I know besides I'm, an IQ of 180 and a really smart, low body fat, whatever. Cena making it like the heel turn. I wish he never incorporated the fans. Maybe utilize them in some aspects. Like when they were kind of booing Cody the one time, he's like, see what I told you about him? Yeah. But I think if he made it strictly about himself and the quest to be the GOAT, and it's like, I will do whatever it takes. If you remember that Austin Rock promo, Austin teasing kind of the heel turn, but he's a great heel is always justified in what they're doing. So Austin's sort of sit down bit where he's like, you don't know what this means to me. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do anything because that's what it meant. Like, so the importance they put on the title, and the WWE Championship is the most important title in wrestling, and it felt important. But I think if John made it about him and the quest to be the GOAT and sort of like taking the shots at Cody along with that, and I know he didn't want to change because that's what the fans wanted. They wanted, I don't know, different music or some. I wanted to see him come out in like boots and the trunks. I would have went nuts for that. But I get why he didn't, because he didn't want to make it about that. But then it maybe lost something from making it feel special. So I can see that. Agree or disagree. You think about the entrance too. Like I'm thinking about the entrances at Mania. And I remember John Cena with black in a black apron and just walking out with like no fanfare. And I don't remember what Cody had, but I know when it turned back over to him, it was like all like hoopla and gaga that's sort of like manufactured, as John kind of put it. Yeah. And it didn't feel organic or original. And I thought that was cool because that's the story they were telling. But long story short, because I'm a rambler, I think what would have made it build more is sort of the importance on the why. And I don't even know if we got that answer. And then as far as The Rock being involved, I think the one thing that John could have done to tie that in is that WrestleMania, was it 27 and 28 when he was working with The Rock? John being the guy that's talking about how I'm always here, and you left and did this and you're coming back. Like if he just, not in a, like an ass kissy way, but just sort of like, I get it now. I get why The Rock would do that. You don't understand the burden I have. Not only do I control so much within here and this place relies on me and I have to leave, like I get why The Rock would have left because there's so much more. And just sort of like Machiavellian tyrant sort of people manipulation, control of people, but everything is dependent on him and such a burden. It's so heavy. I understand, Rock, why you left and came back and did that. And like sort of, I was wrong. You're right. You're smart. I'm an idiot. I think maybe that would have made it a little more personal too.
Yeah. Before we close, here's my thoughts on what should have happened. Then I think the Elimination Chamber was an absolute. In hindsight, the Elimination Chamber was an absolute wrench to the overall flow of the direction of what could have been this. Now, what I think should have happened was John Cena just wins. Cody, celebrates. John Cena wins the Elimination Chamber. He already had the fans like at the palm of his hands when he won the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
already had one-way ticket to WrestleMania. Already had that. That's fine. John Cena's cutting respect promos, going back and forth with Cody. I respect you. You're the heir apparent. you've taken the ball. The office really loves you. This and that. I'm proud, Cody, to pass the baton to you. Right. So that's basically what he could have done. And then what could have happened at WrestleMania is Cody beats him clean. Cody beats him absolutely clean. They celebrate. All of a sudden, The Rock's music comes out. The Rock does the gimmick. Boom. Cody's like, huh? Cody turns around. Then we get the kick to the bone district. And then that's when The Rock, being the director of the board, orders the match to restart. Then we get an AA after the kick and the jewels. And then John Cena wins the match that way. Fans boo the snot out of that. There's the heel turn right there. And John Cena turns heel at Mania. And that leaves the Raw after Mania. And I wouldn't have John Cena come out until the very end of Raw after Mania, because again, I think about things psychologically. I wouldn't have John Cena come out until the end of the Raw of WrestleMania, because you're already having fans waiting to see why, right? But and I would cause that effect. I would cause that thought in your mind of like, when, like, we're going to stay until the end because we know we want to hear what John is saying. It's kind of like that broccoli and ice cream effect when it comes to kids. Like we'll slide the broccoli there, but the ice cream, yeah, you can eat the ice cream, but we'll slide the broccoli in there too. And we'll have that type of effect that comes with it. And the fans are clamoring, waiting for John Cena, right? And so I would have him at the end, which will continue to keep those quarter hour numbers, up, still waiting, instead, because it usually drops toward the end. And so then you have John Cena cutting the promo at the end of, hey, look, by any means necessary, I wanted that 17th title reign. Cody Rhodes, everything that I said about you is an absolute lie. I don't think you deserve to be the heir apparent. You took your ball, you went home, you started another promotion, you turned your back on this company. When Vince McMahon was here, you turned your back on this company and you tried to start another company to the demise, an attempt to demise this company. And you think, as someone who's been on the top for the past 20 years, you think that I'm just going to let you prance in here and have the world champion as the new golden boy under my watch, and I'm supposed to give you this baton? Not over my dead body, Cody Rhodes, over my dead body. And that's the promo that you cut after WrestleMania, because all those weeks he's pandering to Cody Rhodes, saying that he's the best, he deserves it. And then the Raw after WrestleMania, that was all a lie. That's what I think would have been more suspenseful.
I think a heel turn at WrestleMania to become the champion would have been the culmination and explosion, the sort of warranted that everybody would like. And I think this, I don't know F about business, but I do know that, like, when a creative plan, like, I don't know if that was a plan, it's a great plan, and I think awesome. But anytime, like, good to great creative in this business, and I've seen it on all levels, I don't want to say ruined, but gets exploited at the behest of what truly is important, which is business and ticket sales. But at the same time, WrestleMania sells itself, and if they're not selling a lot of tickets, maybe pricing out the entire middle class of the United States of America isn't the way to do it too.
Yeah.
And
yeah, true.
They made a F ton of money. What do I know? People paid for it, but it shouldn't have ever been a worry. Cena Cody on top without the angle would sell. WrestleMania itself sells. Yeah, like, dude, heel turn to WrestleMania would have been dope. That would have been, and then fire promo afterwards. And then where's this year going to take us? I don't know, but buckle up, Buttercup, because we're on a ride.
That's right. Absolutely. EC3, let the listeners know where to find you, my brother. Appreciate you joining me as always, man. Good discussion about the Rock and WrestleMania.
Yeah, find me in the bushes outside of Dr. Chris's house every Tuesday,
Yes,
Wednesday, and Thursday. No, at the
I hear him ruffling right now, man. Absolutely.
Hey, you in the bushes. That's an old Mo line from The Simpsons. I don't know. At the real EC3 on the social media things. I haven't been very active because I don't know if you know this, but I'm writing a book and it takes all my free time up. And I haven't. WrestleMania was the first time I sat down and watched a television in months. So that was cool. At the real EC3, I don't know what we got. NWA's Crockett Cup's coming to Philly on the 17th. My little baby, my sweet, sweet baby girl, Exodus Pro, is going to be May 23rd, and that is in Cleveland, Ohio, where Great Creative does not get destroyed by rash, crazy decisions for ticket sales, but it gets ruined because I'm insane. No, but we have a great show. I have a crop of young talent, all studs and studettes. So check us out, and we should be live streaming on the NWA YouTube. And I'm looking to get all of our content pushed out there. So I got about a year of good stuff that is laid dormant for the right place at the right time, and that time's coming. That's what I got.
Wonderful. Pleasure as always. Go to Pancakes and Power Slams. Google Pancakes and Power Slams. I'm about to hop over there right now and do some psychology class. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk about The Rock's interview with Pat McAfee, so come join me. All who desire. Be sure to sub too, man. I do these classes every single week. This guy right here is EC3. I am Dr. Chris. This is Unscripted. Have a good night, everybody. Solo.